There are few places on Earth that have been misunderstood as much as Afghanistan. For decades, the world has associated this ancient land with conflict, war, and uncertainty. News headlines often focus on violence, political change, and humanitarian crises. But beyond those headlines lies another Afghanistan, one filled with breathtaking landscapes, resilient communities, and millions of ordinary people simply trying to live their lives. Today, we're taking you on a journey through a part of Afghanistan that very few outsiders ever get to witness. This is not the Afghanistan portrayed in action movies. This is the Afghanistan experienced by truck drivers, traders, shopkeepers, laborers, and families who wake up every morning hoping for a better tomorrow. Our journey begins before sunrise. The roads are already busy. Massive cargo trucks stretch for what seems like endless kilometers. Their colorful decorations, hand-painted artwork, and powerful engines are unmistakable symbols of Afghan transport culture. Each truck carries far more than merchandise. They transport food, medicine, construction materials, fuel, machinery, and essential supplies that keep towns and villages connected across one of the world's most rugged landscapes. For many drivers, this road is their second home. Some have traveled hundreds of kilometers across mountains and deserts before reaching this point. Others have spent days waiting patiently for permission to continue their journey. Life on these roads requires endurance, patience, and extraordinary determination. As we move closer, the scale of activity becomes impossible to ignore. Workers unload heavy cargo by hand. Mechanics repair worn-out engines. Small roadside restaurants prepare hot meals for hungry drivers who have spent long hours behind the wheel. Tea shops fill with conversations as travelers pause for a brief moment of rest before continuing onward. Everything here revolves around movement. Movement of people. Movement of goods. Movement of hope. Despite decades of hardship, commerce continues. The Afghan people have learned to adapt to circumstances that many of us can hardly imagine. Every truck that crosses these roads represents another opportunity for someone to earn a living. For local communities, transport is not just an industry. It is survival. Along the roadside, markets begin to open. Fresh fruit is carefully arranged on wooden carts. Bread is baked inside traditional clay ovens. Children help their parents prepare shops before the day's customers arrive. Life moves at its own steady rhythm. The streets may appear dusty. The buildings may be simple, but behind every doorway is a family working tirelessly to create a better future. Afghanistan is one of the oldest inhabited regions in the world. For thousands of years, these lands connected civilizations across Asia, the Middle East, and Europe through the legendary Silk Road. Merchants, explorers, and scholars once passed through these valleys carrying not only goods but also ideas, knowledge, and culture. Today, although much has changed, trade continues to shape everyday life. The vehicles may be larger. The roads may be busier. But the spirit of commerce remains remarkably familiar. As we continue our journey, we'll discover the people whose lives depend on these roads every single day. Their stories reveal a side of Afghanistan that the world rarely gets to see. A story not only of hardship, but of resilience, of dignity, and above all, of hope. As we leave the busy transport corridor behind, the landscape begins to tell a different story. The roads become rougher. The mountains rise higher. Dust hangs in the air, carried by a warm breeze that has swept across these valleys for centuries. Afghanistan is a country of breathtaking natural beauty. Snow-covered peaks tower over fertile valleys, while vast deserts stretch toward the horizon. For generations, these rugged landscapes have shaped the lives of the people who call this country home. Travel here is rarely easy. Many roads wind through steep mountain passes and isolated villages. Some communities remain hours away from the nearest major town, making transportation one of the greatest challenges of everyday life. Yet despite these obstacles, people continue their daily routines. As we drive deeper into the region, villages begin to appear along the roadside. Simple mud brick homes blend naturally into the surrounding landscape. Children wave as vehicles pass by. Farmers work tirelessly in fields that have supported their families for generations. For many Afghans, agriculture remains one of the country's most important sources of income. Wheat, fruits, nuts, and vegetables are cultivated wherever water is available. Life follows the rhythm of the seasons, and every successful harvest is essential for survival. The marketplaces offer another glimpse into daily life. Small shops display everything from fresh bread and spices to clothing, tools, and household goods. Merchants greet customers with warm smiles, inviting them to browse their products. The aroma of freshly baked naan fills the air, while kettles of hot green tea are never far away. Hospitality is deeply rooted in Afghan culture. Guests are traditionally welcomed with tea and food, even when families have very little to spare. It is a custom that reflects generosity, dignity, and respect. As we continue walking through the streets, we notice something remarkable. Despite years of hardship, daily life continues with quiet determination. Mechanics repair motorcycles and trucks. Tailors carefully stitch traditional clothing. Blacksmiths shape metal using techniques passed down through generations. Every occupation contributes to the survival of the community. The streets are filled with movement. Donkey carts share the road with motorcycles. Small pickup trucks transport families and supplies. Street vendors patiently wait for customers, hoping today's sales will provide enough income to support their households. For many people here, every day is uncertain. Employment opportunities remain limited, and many families rely on small businesses or seasonal work. Even so, there is a remarkable sense of perseverance. People continue working. Children continue learning. Communities continue rebuilding. This determination has become one of Afghanistan's defining characteristics. It is easy for the outside world to focus only on conflict. But walking through these streets reveals another reality. Most Afghans are not soldiers or politicians. They are fathers and mothers, teachers and students, shopkeepers, farmers, mechanics, and laborers. Like people everywhere, they want peace, security, education, and opportunities for their children. The image often presented on television captures only one part of Afghanistan's story. The other part unfolds quietly in neighborhoods like these, where ordinary families continue to build their lives despite extraordinary challenges. As the afternoon sun begins to cast long shadows across the mountains, our journey reveals an important truth. Afghanistan is far more complex than many people imagine. It is a land of ancient traditions, a crossroads of civilizations, and above all, a country whose greatest strength has always been its people. As our journey continues, we arrive at the heart of everyday Afghan life, the local marketplace. For centuries, markets have been more than places to buy and sell goods. They have been centers of conversation, culture, and community, where neighbors exchange news, travelers share stories, and merchants build relationships that last for generations. The streets are alive with activity. Shopkeepers carefully arrange colorful displays of fresh fruit, dried nuts, fragrant spices, and handmade goods. The aroma of freshly baked naan drifts through the air as customers gather outside traditional bakeries. Every stall tells a story. Some businesses have been passed down from father to son for decades. Others were started with little more than determination and the hope of earning enough to support a family. In Afghanistan, small businesses are the backbone of many communities. Without large industries in many regions, countless families rely on local trade for their income. Every customer matters. Every sale helps pay for food, clothing, school supplies, or medicine. Walking through the market, one quickly notices the remarkable craftsmanship of Afghan artisans. Tailors sew traditional clothing with incredible precision. Metalworkers shape tools by hand using techniques preserved over generations. Carpet sellers proudly display hand-woven rugs, each carrying patterns and colors that reflect the country's rich cultural heritage. These skills are not simply occupations. They are traditions that connect today's generation with centuries of Afghan history. But life here is far from easy. Years of conflict, economic instability, and limited employment opportunities have created enormous challenges for ordinary families. Many people work long hours for modest incomes, doing whatever they can to provide for those they love. Some transport goods across towns using motorcycles or small pickup trucks. Others spend entire days repairing vehicles, carrying heavy loads, or working in construction. Every job, no matter how small, plays an important role in keeping the community moving. Despite these hardships, there is an unmistakable sense of resilience. Children laugh as they play in narrow streets. Friends gather over tea after a long day's work. Shopkeepers greet strangers with warmth and hospitality. These simple moments reveal a side of Afghanistan that is rarely shown on television. The people here are not defined solely by the hardships they face. They are defined by their determination to keep moving forward. Afghan hospitality is known throughout the region. Visitors are often welcomed with tea, fresh bread, and genuine kindness, even by families with very limited resources. Sharing what little one has is considered a sign of respect and honor. It is a tradition that has survived generations of change. As the afternoon continues, traffic grows heavier. Trucks loaded with supplies move steadily along the roads, connecting towns, villages, and neighboring countries. Commerce remains one of the country's lifelines. Each shipment supports businesses, markets, and households that depend on reliable transportation. Watching this constant movement reminds us that Afghanistan is not standing still. Every day, millions of people work, trade, study, and care for their families, quietly rebuilding their lives one step at a time. The headlines often tell stories of conflict, but the streets tell another story. A story of perseverance. A story of community. A story of people who continue to hope for stability and opportunity despite the obstacles they face. As the sun begins to lower across the mountains, our journey reveals something deeply inspiring. In every smile, every handshake, and every act of generosity, we see a nation whose greatest strength has never been its buildings or its resources. Its greatest strength has always been its people. The deeper we travel into Afghanistan, the more we realize that this country cannot be understood through headlines alone. For decades, the world has focused on conflict. Television screens have shown explosions, military operations, and political turmoil. But those images tell only part of the story. Away from the international spotlight, millions of Afghans wake before sunrise to begin another ordinary day. Fathers prepare for work. Mothers bake fresh bread for their families. Children walk to school where schools are open, while others help their parents earn a living in markets and workshops. Life continues. As we walk through the streets, one thing becomes immediately clear. Community is everything. Neighbors know each other by name. Shop owners greet regular customers with warm smiles. Tea is shared not only as a drink, but as a symbol of friendship and respect. Even strangers are often welcomed with kindness, reflecting a tradition of hospitality that has existed in Afghanistan for centuries. The country has endured decades of hardship, but many of its traditions remain remarkably strong. Family is at the center of Afghan society. Several generations often live together under one roof, supporting one another through difficult times. Grandparents pass down stories of the past. Parents work tirelessly to provide opportunities for their children. Young people dream of education, stable employment, and a peaceful future. These hopes are shared by families across the world. Afghanistan's rich cultural heritage can also be seen in its architecture, clothing, music, and craftsmanship. Traditional garments are proudly worn in both villages and cities. Markets display hand-woven carpets, embroidered fabrics, handcrafted jewelry, and beautifully carved wooden furniture. Many of these skills have been passed from one generation to the next for hundreds of years. Despite economic challenges, artisans continue preserving these traditions with remarkable dedication. As we continue our journey, the sounds of daily life fill the streets. Children laugh while playing together. Vendors call out to customers. Motorcycles weave carefully through narrow roads. The aroma of freshly baked naan and simmering kebabs drifts through the air. These are scenes rarely shown in international news reports, yet they represent the everyday reality experienced by millions of ordinary Afghans. Like many developing nations, Afghanistan faces enormous challenges. Access to healthcare, education, and reliable infrastructure remains difficult in many areas. Economic opportunities are limited, particularly for young people seeking stable employment. Yet despite these obstacles, resilience defines the Afghan people. Every rebuilt shop, every repaired road, every child attending school represents another small step toward a brighter future. As the afternoon begins to fade, our journey reminds us of something important. Countries should never be judged solely by their darkest chapters. Behind every statistic are real people. Behind every headline are families. Behind every challenge are individuals who continue to work, hope, and dream. Afghanistan is not simply a place marked by conflict. It is also a nation rich in history, culture, determination, and human resilience. And perhaps that is the side of Afghanistan the world needs to see more often. As our journey through Afghanistan comes to an end, one truth stands above all else. No country can be fully understood through headlines alone. For decades, Afghanistan has been associated with war, political change, and humanitarian challenges. Those events have undoubtedly shaped the nation's history and continue to affect millions of lives. But they are not the entire story. Behind every news report are ordinary people living ordinary lives. Parents working to provide for their families. Children dreaming of brighter futures. Shopkeepers opening their businesses at sunrise. Farmers tending their fields. Students pursuing an education whenever the opportunity exists. These are the faces of Afghanistan that often go unseen. Throughout this journey, we have witnessed bustling markets, ancient traditions, breathtaking landscapes, and communities built on resilience. We have seen people who continue moving forward despite years of hardship. People who celebrate weddings, observe religious traditions, welcome guests with generosity, and preserve customs that have endured for centuries. Afghanistan is a land where history stretches back thousands of years. It has been a crossroads of civilizations, cultures, and trade routes, leaving behind a remarkable legacy that still shapes the country's identity today. Its mountains have witnessed the rise and fall of empires. Its cities have welcomed travelers from across Asia, the Middle East, and beyond. Its people have carried forward traditions through generations, even during the most difficult times. Like every nation, Afghanistan faces significant challenges. Economic hardship, limited infrastructure, access to education and healthcare, and the lasting effects of conflict continue to impact daily life for many families. These realities should not be ignored. But neither should the courage shown by those who continue to rebuild, work, study, and hope for a better tomorrow. Perhaps the greatest lesson from this journey is that every country is more than its struggles. Every nation has stories of hardship. Every nation also has stories of kindness, perseverance, and hope. Afghanistan is no exception. As visitors, observers, and members of a connected world, we gain a deeper understanding when we look beyond stereotypes and see people as individuals rather than symbols of a headline. Understanding begins with curiosity. Respect begins with listening. And peace begins when we recognize our shared humanity. Although languages, traditions, and cultures may differ, the dreams of ordinary people remain remarkably similar. A safe home, meaningful work, good health, education for their children, and the opportunity to live with dignity. These hopes unite people across every border. As the sun sets over Afghanistan's mountains, the day's final light reminds us that every nation has more than one story to tell. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Afghanistan. If you enjoyed this documentary and would like to explore more countries, cultures, and untold stories from around the world, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our next adventure. Until next time, thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the most meaningful discoveries are found not in the headlines, but in the everyday lives of ordinary people.